Hi everyone, it's Dasher Dave here again. I'm back for another crafty video. So this time we are going to make one of these boxes. I know it looks very inconspicuous on the outside, but when you open it up you have this kind of arrangement on the inside, which just makes it a little bit more interesting if you're giving gifts at Christmas. And this is just my prototype, hence the reason why the paper on the inside isn't great and it's a black box. So I've already cut my paper, my card, so that it's all ready, just to speed up the process. But I'll tell you what you need to do and I'll give you all the measurements, etc. So what you're going to need is, let's come to that in a minute, you're going to need a piece of card that measures 8 by 8, and that's going to be your base. Okay, so I'm making it out of file folder. Then you're going to need a piece of card that measures 8 1/8 by 8 1/8. So 8 1/8 square, 8 by 8 square. And then you're going to need a piece of paper that measures 8 by 8. And we'll come to the paper in a minute. We're going to start with the base. So that's the smaller one of the two, because that is your 8 by 8 rather than your 8 1/8 by 8 1/8. Try saying that when you've had a few to drink. So you're going to need a scoreboard or a way to score. So you don't need a scoreboard, but if you have a scoreboard, then use a scoreboard. So I will, let's just check that my timer's running. That's fine. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to just need to you're just going to need to get out all of your, these are all my notes that I make from whenever I'm prepping boxes and things. I'm just going to get my notes out because I've just had that moment where I've had a blank thought. Oh Dave, where have you put it? There. Cool. So you're going to need to, on this this is your base, so this is the 8 by 8. You're going to need to score your card at 2 and 6. Okay, so we're just making the base at the moment. You're going to turn it 90 degrees and then you're going to do the same again. 2 and 6. Okay, we're going to put that to one side and then we'll score the lid. So the lid, this is the lid, which measures 8 1/8 by 8 1/8, and this time you're going to score at 1 and 2, and then you're going to turn it 90 degrees and you're going to score at 1 and 2, and 90 degrees, 1 and 2. I'm just going to do that on the final side, 1 and 2. Cool, that's that on, and that's all your scoring done. Okay, so you can put your scoreboard away now. Okay, we're going to make the base. So making the base, let's just fold in all of those creases first. Burnish them in a minute when you've got the box sorted. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a box. So I always make a box in the same way, and that's that I cut this bit, I cut this tab, and then I turn 90 degrees. If you want to make it so that you have both tabs on one side, or both, or either side, or top and bottom, or however you want to make it, but this is how I make it. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over so you can see the creases. So you want to cut down the crease to the first score line, and then you're just going to cut a small amount out of there just so that it doesn't get in the way. Okay, but you're going to leave that edge as a straight edge, and that way then you'll be able to make sure that your box is true and square, because you can line those sides up, and then that way then you know it's true and square. Okay, then we're going to turn it 90 degrees, and again we're going to cut up that crease, fold, sorry, and then you're going to cut that tiny bit out. You only want a tiny bit out, you don't need to make it into a big wedge. You're just cutting a tiny bit out just so it doesn't get in the way, and then you're going to turn 90 degrees and do again. Exactly the same every time until you've done all 4 sides. Turn it, and then last one all the way up. So I like to cut with a pair of big scissors. I'm using my Tim Holtz today, because then that way then you're not having lots of chompy bits and you don't get such a straight line that way. Okay, so that's our box base cut, ready to make. Okay, so we're going to make this and then we'll move on to all of the other bits. Okay, so what you're going to need to do is you need to glue it together. So that's exactly what we'll do. So now if you want to kind of burnish in all of those creases, do so. Just go all the way around and just make sure this is all burnished in. And it just helps you shape the box. It doesn't want to bow out at the top if you kind of burnished in those creases. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to glue up this panel. Make sure that we come up to the edge. Don't put too much glue on, otherwise it'll just ooze out. Just make sure that the panel will stick. And then when we put it together, if you just fold it in and you line it up at the edge, you can also line it up at the top, and that way then you know that your box is true and square. Okay, so if it hangs over a little bit here, that's because you didn't cut the crease off, Dave. So I didn't, so I'll just cut that off. That's fine. Okay, and then we're just going to do the other sides. So again, I'm just going to, you might not be able to see this quite so well. Just going to glue, make sure it goes up to that edge. It's ironic, I'm gluing the recycle thing, because that's exactly what I'm doing, is recycling these things. So line it up at the top, that means you've got a nice true square. Okay, again on this bit, just fold that out so you can see up to this edge. You don't, like I say, you don't need a lot of glue, just making sure that the panel sits in nicely. And your base really doesn't do very much, so it's not, you know, it doesn't need lots of reinforcing or anything like that. It's just going to be your base. Okay, and then we're just going to do this last crease, which might not be so easy for you to, sorry, not crease, fold, tab, which might not be so easy to see for you. But just doing exactly the same as before. So again, line it up at the top edge and you get a nice true base. And the reason why I want it to be true is it will just help you with when you come to do the napkin fold bit, when you're gluing that bit in. Okay, so there you go, that's your base. So you can just put that to one side, and then we're going to do the lid. Okay, so put my lid on, talking of lids, put the lid on that, otherwise it will dry out. So now you want to put in all of these creases, so just make sure that you fold those in. So you can do this as you go. So that one, and then that one, that one, and then that one, that one, and that one, and then the last one, that one, and then that one. Okay, so what you've got is this lid is a reinforced lid, i.e. rather than it just being cut off like this, it's folded over, so it folds in, and I'll show you that. So what we're going to need to do is, remember when we've made lids before, we're basically going to cut this L shape off on the corner of all the corners, but rather than cutting it as an L, we're just going to cut all the way down. So we're going to pick a side, okay, pick a side. Let's flip it over so hopefully you'll be able to see the creases this time better. I don't know which side is better. So we're going to cut all the way down, yeah, and then we're going to cut all the way down again, yeah, and then what we're going to do is we're going to cut this bit off, so this very outer bit, and we're going to cut this very outer bit as well. Okay, so what that is we've got like a step shape, okay, like a podium. The first prize, second prize, no, winner would be up here, okay, and then we're just going to cut that into shape. So we're just going to cut a bit out to make it a tab, okay, but we're going to cut it out on both sides this time, and that's because we don't want it to get in the way of the mechanism. So what by mechanism I mean, this is going to be the tab that connects it to this side, but the edge is going to fold over, and we just don't want that bit to get in the way of the fold. You don't want a bulging fold. Okay, so that's our shape. I'm going to turn around 90 degrees. I'm going to do that again. So all the way down the crease to that second score line. Okay, all the way down to the second score line, and then you're going to turn it, and we're going to take all of that off to the first score line, and all of this one on the second score line. Yep, and then we're going to turn that round, and we're just going to take that little bit out. And again, like I say, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to turn it into a wedge shape or anything. You just need to take a little bit off so that it's not going to get in the way of the mechanism. I'm going to turn it again and do exactly the same again. So all the way down to that second score line, all the way down to the second score line, turn it back, and then take that, oh sorry, take that off at this bit here, and take that bit off here, and we're just going to turn that into that wedge shape. Now I like this kind of utilitarian look. If you don't like it, don't use file folder, that's all I can say. And now we're going to do this last one. So all the way down to the second line, all the way down to the second line, then we're going to turn it back, this one all the way off, and this one off at that second score line. Okay, and then we're going to turn that into a little wedge this way. That's it. So that's all of our sides done. Okay, now what you want to do is you just want to take on this very outer edge, you just want to take the slightest amount off, only a very small amount. You're not actually cutting into a wedge, you're just cutting a slight bit off all the way around, and that just stops it when you're folding this bit in. When you're folding this bit in, it stops it getting in the way of each other, otherwise they'll all buckle in the corner. You don't have to do it, but it just helps you, and you'll find it easier to do. But like, you really only need to take a very small amount off. In fact, that one's already kind of, is that the one I've already cut? I can't remember. And then just take all of those just all the way around. I think I've done them all now. This is the last one. Okay, so see how tiny amount I've taken off there. Okay, so now these bits can go out the way. Let's get rid of them. And they're not in our way. Okay, so what you first of all need to do is you don't glue any of these bits down just yet. You're gonna use them to hide the panel. So we're gonna fold in the one of the panels, and we're gonna glue right up to that edge. And glue that panel. We're gonna fold it over, and then we're gonna use this edge to make sure that we get a good shape. Marry that up, and you're going to do that all the way around first of all. Okay, again, just fold over your panel and then glue it. Get a nice shape. Squeeze, like, wipe off any excess glue now while you can. Don't wait until it dries, otherwise it's not as easy to wipe off. Again, just gluey, gluey, gluey. Brother, gluey, 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 gluey. Okay. So, just do that last panel. You might not be able to see this quite so easily. It's not easy for me to show you, so I'm just going to do the last panel just the same way as I did the others. Okay, and then we're just going to shape that into that corner. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on all of this on the inside. Okay, so we're going to glue all of this all the way around, and then we're going to use that to hide that kind of tab. I'm going to pop and fold it in, pinch it in, make sure it glues down, and then go around to the next bit and do the same with the next tab. It does two things. It makes your lid nice and secure, but also it means it fits nice and flush to that. So it fits with a satisfying pull on it. It's not so loose it just falls off. Okay. So just excuse me while I do the rest of these. Hold it in. And then the last panel, just glue that. Again, just fold that in. And if you haven't taken too much out of it, let's just burnish that down because that's where the glued bit is. If you haven't taken too much off on those panels, you'll see that they meet nicely, but they're not buckling, so they all meet nicely in that corner because you didn't take loads off it. They all meet nicely, but they're not buckling on each other. So then that will go over the top of here. Okay. So that's our box and lid. Now what we need to do is we now need to do the piece of paper. So this is the 8x8 piece of paper. Now this time you don't want to fold it, but you do need to mark where the middle is. So what you're going to do is take a piece of paper and use a ruler and find the middle of one side, and then you have to mark it so you can see it again. If you've got highly patterned paper like this, now what you need to do is you need to have it so whatever design you want facing out is the bit that is facing up. So if you've got patterned paper like this, it will be just a bit trickier to see where those pencil marks are. It's completely impossible on that side. Is that it? That's it. And so then what you want to do is you just want to join those two up. So you're going to draw a pencil line between those marks. It doesn't have to be heavily done, but you want to be able to see where it is. And then you're going to turn it 90 degrees and you can put another, do another. If you don't have such highly decorated paper like I've got, it'll be easier. If you've got double-sided paper, just decide which side you want up. This is single-sided, so I'm going to try and draw in one of the blank spaces. Okay, and then we're going to pick wherever that pencil mark is, Dave. That's that one. Where's that one there? And there. So, and then we're going to just do this. And then what we want to do is we want to find that center point. So we're just going to emphasize that middle bit. Now you just want to make sure that you can see it. Okay, because you can rub it out later, although to be fair, you won't really see it after we've finished. So, and then you just want to rub away any of the other lines. You want to leave your crosshair in the middle, and rub away the other lines. Okay, so we just can see that bit in the middle that is our crosshair. Now you'll need that, so you want that marked in the middle. So now what you need to do is you need to fold in from the side up to that crosshair. Yeah, and you want to make sure it's straight on either side, so you've got a nice straight fold, and then you can burnish in that. Yeah, and then we're going to fold that out, and we're going to fold this in on this side up to that crosshair. Make sure you line it up. Okay, and then fold it out, and then do the same on the other sides up to that crosshair. you want this as square as you possibly can. Yeah, fold it out and then turn it round again and do the other side. Up to the crosshair. Nice straight line. And then fold that in. Okay, so we've done the square sides. Now we're going to do the same with the triangular side. So we're going to take this point and marry it up with that crosshair. And then fold that in. Yeah, and then we're going to fold it out. And then we're going to take this and then fold that into there as well. And fold that in. Yeah, and do then the other two corners. So in exactly the same way. To the crosshair, fold it in. One thing to take note of is when you're doing it, if you're getting it nice and square on that crosshair, you should find that they don't overlap in the corners. So you should see that they should sit fairly closely together. Excuse me, I've got a tickle. Okay, so that's it. So now we've done that, what you need to do now is have it so that you've got a straight edge towards you. You're going to fold it over and you're going to hold down this center triangle. You see this triangle here? You're going to hold that down, yeah, and then you're going to take these and fold these. So you take this corner and bring it in to meet that crosshair, and using those folds that you've already made to just flatten it out. There we go. So just turn that into that kind of square shape. Now this is the bit where you want to make sure that it all sits nicely. So you might just need to give it a bit of a wiggle. That's fine. Yeah, and then we're going to turn it round and we're going to do the same again. So fold it over again and then just fold this one back on itself. Fold this corner into that crosshair, bending the score lines back. Almost looks like one of those fortune tellery things. I don't know what you call them in your part of the world, but I would call that a fortune teller. So again, back on itself. Yeah, take this corner, bend into the middle. Just folding, making sure that you're folding in all of those creases. If you get a crease that's kind of buckled like that, just make sure you pinch it right up to that corner. Yeah, fold that in, and then we're going to do the last one. Fold that in, fold that back on itself there, and fold this corner in as well. Just want to make sure that it pinches onto this corner. So this bit you're folding back on itself, and this bit you just want to make sure that that corner is a corner and it doesn't buckle on itself. So there we go, into there. Like that. So that's the shape that you have now got. Yep. So you just want to just crease in all of those creases. That means it'll sit nicely. You can use cardboard. Don't go too thick though, it will make it just a bit impossible to do, and also you'll start to find you bulking up on corners, and also it can crack. So this one here, this has cracked on, so just be careful on the kind of quality of card that you're using. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take, so you've got it all folded like this, you're going to take this corner and you're going to bend it out to the edge, and you're going to score that down, and then you're going to take this corner, bend it out to the edge, so you're folding those corners so that this corner will meet that corner, this corner will meet that corner, this corner is meeting that corner, and that one's meeting that one. So fold it out, corner to corner, and just put in a fold line there, turn it round, fold it out, corner to corner, and put a fold line in there. Cool. So that's it, basically done. So now what we need to do is we need to open it out, and then what you're going to do is you're going to cut from this corner to this corner. Okay. Now it might be easier to do it on the back. Now I did start marking this out. I got it the wrong way up. I'll be honest with you. I got it the wrong way up. So that's why there's a cut in the video. So you otherwise would have had just plain paper at the top, and that wouldn't be very interesting. So you're going to take it so it meets this corner on one side and meets this corner on the other. Now you're not going to cut all the way through, otherwise you've just got lots of loose pieces of paper. You're just going to cut away this middle piece. So from this corner here, cut it down to this corner here. Make sure that you cut through, and then you're going to turn it round, and you're going to do the same again on these. So from this corner to this corner here, get those corners in, Dave. Corner to corner. And down to that corner. Just make sure that you cut through it. That's it. So now you're going to flip it back, and you're just going to put all of that back in again. So I'm just going to, now it should all just kind of come together and formulate itself. If it doesn't, just go through that same process of folding it that we did to get it in that shape in the first place. So there we go. That is our shape. So it's already doing that thing that we want it to do. But now what we need to do is need to glue it into your box. So you open up your box, okay? You take these corners, sorry, these, so if you turn it over, this is the bottom bit. So these are the bits that you've just sliced. You just want to kind of bend those out a bit, and then they're going to go inside the box. Now you can glue them to the outside, but obviously they're just going to be plain pieces of paper, and you'll find it won't sit quite as well on the outside as it does on the inside. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue this triangle. We're just going to do one to start with, but you want to make sure that they all sit inside the box before you start gluing, otherwise you'll find the last one, you'll find it almost impossible to get it to bend inside the box. And then we're just going to put it so that it lines up, this fold lines up with that top edge of the box. Yeah, and then we're just going to press that in on the inside. And then I would suggest you do the one opposite, just for the stability side of things. Make sure you've got enough glue on there, but not too much. Again, line it up nicely with that edge and squeeze it in. And now, rather than being able to take it out, what you're going to have to do is get your fingers inside and just glue this way. But you just find you'll get a much squarer result if you do opposing sides. And then stick that down. Just pick it up to make sure that it sits on that line. It's not in skew width. And then on this very last one, fold it back out, glue it down, and then just stick that in, pick it up, and just make sure that that line is nice and neat. Okay, if you want to get in there with your burnishing tool, you can. To make sure it all sticks down nicely. You could of course make a little square of paper that sits at the bottom of there, which we can absolutely do. So what you would just need to do is measure your box. So it's 4 by 4. So if we do 3 3/4, and then we've got a little border around the edge, so we go 3 3/4 square. So let's just do that because we can. So 3 3/4. Might as well use this nice paper while we have it. 3 3/4. glue the back of this. Getting into those corners. Now this is just an optional thing, you don't have to put this in at all. But if you want to, this is what you're going to do. And then you just need to be very careful when you put that in there. Now you could do this before you start folding it all, etc. But I like to make things hard for myself, so I'll pop that in there. Trying to get it square, and then just rub that in. There we go. And then you're just going to fold all this in, and it will just sit in nicely. Once you get it to this kind of point, and you push it, and you push these bits down, it'll sort of lock itself into place. See how it just wants to pop back out. If you push those in, then put your lid on, and that's it. So we've got a nice lid with a nice little opening, fancy opening inside, and it just means that then that makes it just a little bit different. It makes it a little bit fancier. You could put, you know, sweets in there. You could give them to me. Chocolates, Ferrero Rocher. Not asking for bribes, but Ferrero Rocher. Or Lindor. Yeah, those little balls of Lindor chocolate. So there we go. And then all you need to do is you just pull on the corners, and it opens out. That's it. So there we go. That's another little box. So obviously we could make that all nice and oldie worldy looking. You can, you know, mucky it up. I don't think that's the term, Dave, that you were looking for. Scratching for. We could just make it look a bit older. It's entirely up to you. You do you. If you want to kind of fit in with that utilitarian look, and you know, make it look a bit oldery looking. Once this is in place, you can kind of just hold on to it, and it'll stay there. You're not really gonna damage it unless you start putting in any creases that aren't meant to be there. Then okay, and then you can make it your own and do whatever you like. You could put decorative panels on the side. I'd just be careful if you're going to put decorative panels on, that if your lid is already quite tight, flush, then the more you add, the more bulk you add to it, the harder you'll find it'll be to get your lid on and off. But you could always use that same technique that I've told you about, and that's just giving it a bit of a rub with a bit of candle, and it will kind of lubricate it. You'll get a bit of candle wax and it'll just lubricate it all up nicely. But just as a word of warning, don't go too bonkers on it, because the thicker you make it, sometimes it'll be, no matter how much candle wax you put on, it won't actually then do anything. So there we go, just dirtied that bit up. Do the same on this lid, just to make it look a bit older, interesting. You know, obviously if you're giving it to somebody as a gift, then it depends on them, doesn't it? So you might like it, but if they think it looks like a piece of old box that you've just found somewhere, they might not appreciate the hard work that's gone into it. So keep them in mind when you're giving a gift, not just what you like. So, not that I'm teaching you to suck eggs. You could always cover it in like a Denison label. You could, you know, glorify it up and make it look. Oh, what am I doing? Putting the lid. Nope, that's not the right lid, Dave. That's the right lid. That's the right lid. There we go. Doesn't take much to confuse me. We could always stick a, like I say, Denison label on it or something. What's in there? No Denison labels in there, Dave. So what have we got in here? Get my tin open. Stick one of them on it. Stick something else, maybe that. And oh, I know what else we'll stick on it. Let's get a stamp out. They're both red. Let's pick something different colour. Purple flurple. Purple Merple. Maybe a purple Merple. Do you want purple Merple? Sorry, purple and Merple just rhyme. That's what I like about it. Maybe have more than one. Let's go for 2 colours. Maybe a blue as well. None of them appeal to me. Maybe an orange or a brown. That's the orange. Yeah, let's have one of them. Cool. Make it look pretty, and then we know we've done a good job. Right, okay, just not happy with the colour of that. It looks far too new, that. Although it must be half old pence. It's got to be at least 60 years old. So it's kind of not that new then, is it, Dave? Same with these. Give these a bit of a grungify. Stick a number on there, couldn't I? Let's use that colour. Let's use the old, it's the avalanche of stuff off the window ledge now. There we go. Cool. Just assemble those. I think that might be a sticker. Is it a sticker? Did I stick it on? Yes, I did put it on sticky paper. That's a sticky label. Let's just do that. Can't actually stick that in that corner. I thought I was licking the stamp as though that was going to be sticky. I don't know why I thought it would be sticky. Never mind, Dave. Don't even know whether I want it up there now. Do I want it up there? Or there? No, stick it on here. Stick it on top. Wipe the excess off. There we go. Cool, nice, interesting little box, like I say. Sorry, I always think I'm finished and then I think, no, I want to decorate it. So such is my prerogative. So there you go. I hope you like that. I hope you'll give that a go. If you do, please let me know. Pop it in the comments once. Sorry, I've just, because I've squished it all in. I was decorating the box, wasn't I? Bend it all back out again. There we go. And then there we go. So lovely little box. Just makes it that bit more interesting. You know, you could put anything in there. It could be a nice little, you know, inexpensive present, and somebody will think you've spent an absolute fortune on them. So and that's what we should be doing more of. Spending less but giving more. So there we go. So I hope you like that, and don't forget, my name is Dash of Dave, and I love you all without exception until you give me a reason not to. So don't give me a reason not to, and I'll see you all in the next video. Alright folks, take care, lots of love, mwah, mwah, mwah. Lots of hugs, and I'll see you soon. Bye.